Arkansas House. He represents, this is District 71, which includes the city of Maumelle and the surrounding north central area of Pulaski County. In the 94th General Assembly, Representative Achor served on the House Public Transportation Committee and the House Agriculture, Forestry, and Economic Development Committee. He was born and raised right here in Maumelle, and following graduation from Arkansas Baptist High School, he attended the U of A in Fayetteville to study biochemistry and then went on to get his pharmacy degree at UAMS. Representative Achor and his wife and fellow pharmacist, Kaylee, now own several independent community pharmacies around central and rural eastern Arkansas. And they attend Central Hope Church in Little Rock and have one child. Representative Achor.
All right. Good evening. Thank you all for having me. Thank you for volunteering your time to be here. I'll try and keep it short. Basically, I've done everything that Representative Bray did, but with a much worse hairdo. So, to that end, it's been exceptionally exciting to serve beyond the pharmacy counter in my hometown. To give you guys a little taste of just how I filter legislation, how I take on new challenges, it comes from my experience, not just as a man of faith or as a father or as a husband, but also as a business owner. And also as a healthcare practitioner. I tell people all the time, whether it's an issue with Medicaid. Medicaid for me is standing 3 feet away from a mother trying to figure out which one of her kids gets an inhaler. Small business investments is me sitting in the loan office with my wife trying to figure out if this is a good decision or not. Taxes and regulation is me making sure that the 12 families that depend on Achor Family Pharmacy so they can take care of their families, that their paycheck cashes. And through that experience of serving you all in that capacity, what I realized is that District 71, in addition to being very particular about what color medications you guys get and how much they cost, you value somebody who provides results over simple rhetoric. This is a district that demands and expects you to perform. And what going through all of those different scenarios as a healthcare practitioner here in this city and running a business is it develops a level of resilience. Now I'm super excited about my second campaign. My first campaign started when I got robbed in the pharmacy. Then I tore my Achilles tendon. Then I got diagnosed with cancer. And thankfully so far I am cancer free, 2 working feet, and haven't been robbed. So honestly at this point, this campaign is already off to a significant improvement. So, but back to my point, those things develop a level of resilience that you may have known about that or you may not have, but I still showed up and I still performed and I'm still available. What makes pharmacy unique in the healthcare profession is simple, it's access. You don't need an appointment. You can walk right in, and everybody, regardless of your socioeconomic background, your race, or your political agenda, when you are sick, it is scary. And you want to be scared with somebody you know. The unknowns of our political spectrum are also scary. And I want you to be scared with someone else you know, and that's me. And even throughout all of that, the resilience that it took to continue to show up for our employees, to continue to show up for the patients that we care for, and for you as constituents. I was happy in my freshman term to be able to actually lead legislation. Now I don't have 25,000 or whatever Representative Bray said that he had, but I did prioritize lowering prescription drug costs to my own detriment, and also helping make sure that our local police officers at the city and county level have access to health insurance when they retire. So I look forward to this. Thank you.
Cassandra Green is our next candidate. She and I share one thing already. We're both from LA, Lower Arkansas. I was raised in Fordyce, she was raised in Crossett. We both of our economies depended a great deal on Georgia Pacific. And they both left us for other women. She understands what I'm talking about. It's been tough on some of those folks in the timber industry. Cassandra currently works as an administrator for the Little Rock School District, working with students and families across all grade levels. She also served as the Director of Special Education in the Beebe School District and the Director of Education at Rivendell Behavioral Health. She started her career as an itinerant teacher for students with hearing impairments in the North Little Rock School District, and she has lived in Maumelle for 15 years. That's great.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank the Maumelle Chamber and the Arkansas Newsroom for this wonderful opportunity to stand before you to introduce myself to Maumelle and the surrounding areas. I am entering my 29th year in education, and it has afforded me the opportunity to work with various students and families from all walks of life. If I had more time, I could tell you many, many stories about my experiences throughout the years dealing with people, just regular folks, just like me and just like you. Outside of my love of education, there are two things that mean the most to me. The first one is that I'm a boy mom, and the second is I'm an only daughter to a wonderful mom who's here tonight, and I am now her caregiver. So the roles have reversed. She lived in Crossett and got sick. And down in that area, there were no resources to address her medical issues. So she had to come with me, and she's been with me for a little over a year. So throughout that journey, my experience as an educator, as a mother and as a daughter, has brought about a different level of empathy and seriousness about life and how life should be for all of us. There are many issues right now that we're dealing with across the country, but some of those issues have hit us right here in Arkansas. And as of right now, this election cycle is by far probably the most pivotal election that we will ever see in our lifetime. From Arkansas Learns to our state healthcare crisis right here, there are a lot of things that need to be addressed that have not been up until this point. There needs to be leadership in our state legislature to address these issues head on. From a practitioner standpoint, not only in life, but as an educator, it's time now for these issues to be addressed, but with experience in mind. With Arkansas Learns, it's our policy as of right now, but as a practitioner that's dealing with it every day, there are some things that need to be changed. And as an educator, that's what I want to bring to the table. Yes, I'm running as a Democrat, but when I'm elected, I'm running and I'm going to be in the state legislature as an educator. Thank you.
Now we've got a couple of questions, and we're going to start with the same question that we asked the other state representative candidates. I think you supported the Learns Act as a legislator. Do you have any regrets on that support? And are there any fixes that should be made to the law going forward?
Yes. I appreciate the question. It's obviously a very hot topic issue, and I think it's a hot topic issue not because of what it says, but because of what it's still yet to prove. And I think that's where the governor was trying to lead an initiative that said the current status quo is not acceptable. We're going to move forward with something, and we're going to put in place certain filters and backstops to make sure when and if any sort of emergencies happen, we have the right procedures in place to address those. So what can be fixed about it is yet to be determined. You cannot sit there and itemize on a list every single thing that can or cannot happen, who will affect, how it will affect, and what it will not affect. What you can do is you can look and see that we're ranked in the bottom 5 or 3% nationally, and that's got to change. And what I appreciate from my experience in the legislature is seeing how working with the Senate, how working with the governor's office, and how working ultimately with the agencies that are required to carry out these laws, the number of backstops that are put in place that when and if any of these criticisms do come to fruition, there is already in place the opportunity to fix those in real time. Every month, the Arkansas Legislative Council meets, and every month, everyone in the state of Arkansas has the opportunity to present and meet and share discussions about what's happening in and around their communities, specifically with education. They have the ability within the LEARNS Act to mold it. It is not a finite document. It is a framework that says we will not be last any longer. Come join us at the table. If you have suggestions, every single month you have the opportunity to share those.
All right. Ms. Green? I'll ask it to you differently since you didn't vote for it because you weren't a legislator at the time, but obviously you have some feelings about the LEARNS Act and some things maybe that need to be changed. What are your feelings about it?
Yes, well, I can say, where I am now as a practitioner, I have not had an opportunity to wait and see. I can tell you as of this summer, my contract was cut because in my district, we had a $16 million shortfall because we're having to project for what we're gonna have to deal with when we lose kids under Arkansas LEARNS. I went from a 12-month employee to a 10.5. I lost a substantial amount of money in my salary because of the district trying to meet shortfalls, and I also had other colleagues as well. One thing about Arkansas LEARNS is that my concern is that one caveat of the policy states that when you're in the 3rd grade and you fail to pass the state assessment, you will be retained. Well, there's nothing currently in place that supports those students at retention, and there's nothing that states how long they can be retained. So that's an issue that we really don't have time to wait and see. The other issue is when we look at failing schools, there's a criteria that the State Department of Education uses, and part of that criteria looks at attendance, it looks at discipline, it looks at student achievement. When you look at giving schools the letters D and F. Well, when you look at those schools, as of right now, there's nothing in Arkansas LEARNS that supports those failing schools to get off of the list. So when you give parents options to go to private schools and take the money, then it goes. But you have parents who elect and who choose to stay in public schools, and some of them don't even have options to go elsewhere. So what are we doing in Arkansas LEARNS to support those schools to get them off of the list? Also, when we talk about the starting salaries for $50,000, that's absolutely wonderful. When I started teaching, I made $23,395 my first year. The issue with the $50,000, it also goes with health and benefits. So when you're looking at that, you're looking between $60,000 and $65,000 a person. But on the back end, you have veteran administrators such as myself that are having to hit the shortfall because we have districts that are going to have to meet that $50,000 requirement. When we as veteran teachers are struggling and having to make decisions, is it better for us to go home or is it better for us to kind of change our way of life in living because of our salaries being cut? So we really at this point don't have a lot of time to kind of wait and see, because districts right now are having to suffer the consequences for things not being done right now.
Okay.
All right. We have one more question for each of you, and you have, what, 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 on that, yeah, and then you'll have closing 2 minutes on that. So, question for Representative Achor.
If elected to a second term, what's your top priority as a legislator?
My top priority as a legislature is to look at what opportunities we can use to support our first responders. In my talks with people in the, whether it's the state police associations or state fire associations, what we have is people refusing to retire because of fear of a drop-off in their health insurance, that it's too expensive for them to retire. And that way we're having people put on that vest one extra day or put on that mask one extra day that honestly have earned the right through lot fee to retire. And unfortunately, without that bridge to provide some sort of access for them to have to purchase health insurance to bridge before they're Medicare eligible, not only are we're over retaining people who have earned the right to retire, and we're not being able to go capture new talent. So one of my bills that I led sponsorship on in my first term was to guarantee access to city and county police officers. When they retire, they can keep their current health insurance. My next stop to build on that is to bring in firefighters and also provide an option for them to buy into the state employee health program.
Okay,
Questions?
that's it. Okay.
Oh, bye.
You didn't use that. You had more time.
You could've kept talking.
Should talk for a minute.
Yeah, totally.
That's okay.
Sort of the same question for you. I mean, you would be elected to if you were elected to your first term, what would be your top priority in the legislature?
Well, I have one that's probably tied. Of course, Arkansas Learns is one, but the other one that's just as important is healthcare. I mentioned earlier that I am the caregiver to my mother, who was a 50-year career educator. And she retired. She did everything. She gave her heart and soul to educating students down in Southeast Arkansas. And when she got sick, she didn't qualify for any services. So she is living with me now, but does not qualify for any support within the home because I have chosen to keep her in my home versus sending her somewhere else. Currently, I pay $800 a week to have a caregiver come and sit with her while I work. Now remember, I told you a few minutes ago that I had my salary cut. And I lost a substantial amount of money. But I have continued to decide to keep my mother in my home. So there should be state money allotted, because it's there, to support those families that choose to keep their family members in the home. And that's definitely something that I want to look into and support, because we have a lot of people within our district and across our state that should receive services based on need and not income. Like I said, my mom gave her whole life to public education, and there is no way she should be able to have to depend on her daughter to provide care when there's money out there that the state can provide additional support to allow her to have all of the services that she needs, such as therapy, because as of right now, she has to have physical therapy, she has to have speech therapy, as well as the many times she's in and out of the hospital. So that would be one of the issues that I would definitely champion, is making sure that families have appropriate support and financial services to where they can keep their family members in home.
2 minutes. 2 minutes to close.
Well, in closing, it has been an honor to serve you guys from behind the pharmacy counter and out in front of it. My wife and I take it as a tremendous honor for each and every one of you that we see in our community, that trust that you put in, because it is a vote of trust when you go to the ballot. It's trusting that somebody's going to show up for you when you need them. That's the same mentality that we have as we care for our patients. I am not going to be able to solve every problem, but I do promise you that you are not alone in trying to solve it. And everyone who comes to our pharmacy feels and believes that. That is how I hope to achieve and be as your state representative, and how I have had the true pleasure of a few people who have reached, sadly, the end of their rope and just call me because they say, you wear a suit and you go up to the Capitol, surely you can help. And weirdly enough, whether it's getting someone's Medicaid turned back on, getting their surgery rescheduled at UAMS, getting their water turned back on, it has been incredibly eye-opening at the level of opportunity, if the community reaches out, that we're able to serve. When it comes to taxes, when it comes to policy, when it comes to education, whatever it is, my goal is to show up for you and let you know that you're not alone in seeking whatever that problem is. Now, I know when it comes to taxes, you know what to do with your money better than I do, so I'm always going to defer to you guys first, whether that's in education dollars, whether that's in your personal income dollars, whether that's in homestead tax dollars. But at the end of the day, my goal is to treat you the same way that I treat everyone who walks into that pharmacy. And it's with complete and true, genuine care that says, whatever the problem is, we're going to do this together, and you're not alone. So thank you.
I will be the first to tell you that I am not a politician. I don't desire to be one, but there is a level of experience that I bring that a lot of people don't have. Yes, I'm an educator, but I'm also a real person. Many of you have seen my information that has been circulating across the district, and it has my personal cell number there. And I have had many of you call me just to see if it was gonna be a real person to answer. And not only have you answered, but we've had conversations and we've gotten to know each other. And one thing that I've learned throughout this campaign is that as I knock doors, people want to talk and people want to develop relationships. And relationships are very important. And trust is very important. And as Brandon has said, no one expects anyone to go and fix all the problems. But you definitely want to know that you have someone that's willing to listen and someone that's willing to at least have a level of empathy to say, you know what, I've never experienced that, but there's something that I can do and something that I should do in order to make sure that the constituents that have voted for me have a voice at the table. And as an advocate for people and as an advocate for change, I feel like this is the time, it's our time to have leadership in our legislature that's willing to represent everyone in our district and everyone across our state. And I really hope and wish for all of your support. As I've stated, I'm ready, I'm accessible, and if there's anything that you need before November the 5th, you can reach me, 501-650-4549. I always have my phone. I love text messages. And just know that I'm here for you and I'm here for District 71. Thank you. Oh. Thank you so much.
I think we're gonna take, a short break, Kelly, is that next?
Yeah.
So I'll take about 2 or 3 minutes, come back, and we'll finish up. I'll go ahead and announce that, the candidate for Ward 2